Let's connect to our breath. Start to feel the shape of each breath moving a bit more largely, expanding the ribs, spreading skull bones from tailbone, tailbone from skull bones. Can you feel how there's already a slight enlarged self-sense just by changing our breath? Somewhere in this enlargement, in this volume, this space, there's another perception. A sense of ourself that may feel more free. It's one possibility. So let's start off with rounds of Uddiyana. We'll take it from exactly the seated position we're in. Little fingertips to the ground. And then inhaling, again expanding the ribs, telescoping the ribs away from the hips. And we'll straight away shift our hands to forward in front of our shins and exhaling with the low belly muscles. This can be out the mouth or out the nose. And as we're folding, there's a bit of compression and expression of the abdomen area. And then draw that low belly area in, wringing it, expressing those cellular fluids, emptying. And if you have a little bit further to play, draw, sink in, and lift up. Releasing abdomen. Inhale, we'll come upright. Let's take the next round and straddle. Doesn't have to be a super wide straddle, but just enough to start to access a little bit more of the groin, the hips. And then inhaling. We'll bring the hands forward. We'll straight away begin that exhale. This can be a nasal or a mouth exhale. And then that process of squeezing, wringing, gathering, expressing. But we're going to take that next or that other little step and just add that slight little uplift, pulling up of the abdomen from the perineum, from the genitals. Keeping the chin low. Feet active. And then releasing the belly when you need to breathe. And we'll take a third one, a final one, in Baddha Konasana. So help soles of feet together. Beginning inhale in the pelvis. So you start to contact the aliveness and the space of the pelvis. And then exhaling, folding. So the fold and the exhale coincide. The low belly muscles gathering in actively. The fold assisting that gathering, almost compressive action. We're not trying to smash down. In fact, as you're drawing, gathering the belly muscles in, lengthen forward. Releasing abdomen. Inhaling, coming back up. And then let's turn onto our elbows and our knees. We're going to do a couple short-ish versions of dolphin. There we go. So we'll set the forearms up with the elbows under the shoulders. And as we're setting the forearms to the ground, ensure the wrists contact the ground, the inner wrists. Feel the inner palms contacting the ground. That tendency for them to flip or lift off the ground is significant. And broadening shoulder blades apart from one another. So the upper trapezius, upper neck and back muscles, lengthen, they spread, and while all those upper trapezius are spread, engaging the chest, and with the neck relaxed, exhaling, smoothly press the knees away from the ground. Keeping that forearm press consistent. Keep growing lighter through the shoulders. And the legs will assist. Strong connection to the legs so that the legs are working in pulley fashion to kind of leverage the pelvis, the weight of the torso up and off of those shoulder joints. The legs are helping make lightness for the shoulders. And it's okay if those legs work. That would be spectacular, working legs. So the feelings, the sensations, that's what we're here for. And we're starting to mix breath with all those sensations. In a sense, this helps kind of integrate it with our choice, our awareness. Releasing the neck even more. And then we'll set the knees down without going too far. We'll turn now the palms up. Okay. So adjust the elbows if they wandered. Palms face up. Now ensure that you're pressing with the most of your forearm surface that you can. And then again, exhale. The knees off the ground. We're right back in it with palms up this time. Releasing the weight of the head. And these next 3 breaths, mixing, working that breath into the sense, the perception of growing space in the body. Whether we feel that space as a quality of our breath, there being room and room to breathe. Whether that's a quality within the joints, there being space for the joints to feel relief. Fluid. And then we'll set the knees down. And when we lie on the back, I just want to track with you one specific detail. So we're going to leave the head down for these, because we need our hands elsewhere. I want you to slip your fingertips right at the bottom of your rib cage. So right here in the low back or the bottom sets of ribs, most of us will arc away from the ground. So by shifting your pelvis, that would be tailbone to sky, you can create a little lengthening, and now those lowest ribs and the low back are kind of sealed to the ground. And we're going to hold that seal. And as you inhale, you'll breathe, you'll inhale, those ribs and skin will further connect the fingertips to the ground. Now let's stay with this one move for a couple more breaths, because note as you exhale, did you create a little gap in the exhale? Keep the seal, little fingertips stuck to the ground by way of ribs. And I'm doing this mostly by directing my breath to the back of the ribs. And there's no pressure that I'm exerting with my head or my neck into the ground. My elbows are free, my neck is free. So let's keep this seal. Hopefully it's a little different than how you ordinarily sense this area. Inhale into the low ribs. You feel that breath spreading, low ribs into the ground, backside into the ground. And now shift the tailbone away from the brain, further lengthening the spine. And then exhale, straighten your left leg. Keeping that seal, that's fingertips stuck to the ground. And draw the belly in. Note what happens to your low back and your low ribs as you draw the belly in. So really trying to keep that one aspect of the shape. Inhale into the low ribs, setting the left foot down. Okay, a little shift in the tailbone, and now exhale, reach out through the right leg, straightening it. Exhaling without any gap forming under your fingertips. No gap. No space there. Draw the low belly down. Inhale, bend the right knee. Now let's take those fingertips out. Set them behind the head. Shift the tailbone. Exhale, raise the left leg up. And you can tiny bit lift the head, shoulder blades up. Still no gap between the low ribs and the ground, low back and the ground. Pull low belly down. We're going to keep focusing on this one area, which is the back of the diaphragm. Inhale, bend left knee. Low ribs expand into the ground. Curling tailbone. Exhale, right leg out reaches. Low back, low ribs, still connected to the ground. Sink the belly in. Inhale, bend the right knee. We'll keep the foot off the ground this time. Pick the left foot up, curl tailbone. Exhale, left leg reaches out. Now with every tiny little adjustment that we're making, those low ribs are still sealed, contacting the ground, drawing the low belly down. Notice no gap still. Inhale, bend the left knee. So now aiming for those low ribs may feel more challenging. Curl tailbone. Exhale, straighten the right leg out. No gap. So focus on the back side of the ribs. No gap. Even as you're exhaling, as you're pulling the belly down, no gap. There's still that contact, that seal. Let's do one more per side. Ready? Inhale, bend right knee. Expanding the low ribs to the ground, the back to the ground. Focus almost purely on that low back, low rib. And then exhale to reach out through the left leg. Reaching that left leg out is a test, kind of field testing that low rib connection. Pulling the belly down, there's still the low rib connection to ground. Inhale, last one, last side. Go for it. This will be the right side. So there's no gap, no arch. It helps cause us to, one, get connection to some different abdominal and torso muscles, and two, it'll reframe and reshape how we're breathing to pay such careful, focused attention into that back side of the diaphragm. When you're through, set the head down and set the feet down. So there should have been a little bit of work involved in that. All right, same principles, and we'll just take this into straddle lifting through, and this will be the only other one that we do abdominally speaking. So with our legs separated widely, inhale, we'll float the head and shoulder blades up, but still focusing the low rib expanding into the ground. And now exhale, the tailbone shifts, legs out reach, sink, pull the belly in, same time reaching legs outward. Inhaling, feel where the breath goes in the back side, the back ribs. Exhale. Outreach. Feet active, which is spreading the foot bones. Sink, draw the belly in. Let's do 3 more at our own pace. And if you can, just for the next 3, keep the shoulder blades up. Challenge yourself to keep that breath, the low ribs, the contact to the ground, all occurring for a duration of 3 breaths. And if you're having to work with the head on the ground, you just get a little different challenge. And then even as you're drawing the legs back together, inhaling into the backside of the ribs. Now, having set the feet on the ground, having that low rib contacting the ground, fresh in our feeling experience, our feeling memory now. Know that you can breathe into the chest while keeping the low ribs basically touching the ground. Let's take 2-3 breaths just to ensure. So expand the low ribs into the ground, but keep inhaling. The chest expands without risking that gap in the low rib. Let's take 2 more exploration breaths to find out if that's true. In other words, we don't have to leave our solar plexus to enter into our chest and our upper back. All right, that's setting the feet up for bridge, hip width. Inhaling into the low rib, but keep inhaling into the chest wall, under the sternum. You have to kind of reshape, redirect your breath within your body. And now exhale, coming up into bridge. The tailbone shifts up, the buttock lifts. And the next exhale or so, bring the spine and the back right down to the floor again. And then let's turn over and press to standing. So the breathing habit, the somatic habit of breathing into the chest might be a somatic habit, a breathing habit, a feeling habit of leaving, vacating other areas of the body. So we're going to keep playing, keep feeling. That breath doesn't have to leave the solar plexus to access anywhere else. Again, it just takes a little redistribution. But if we trained one way, we can certainly train up another shape. Inhaling, take arms overhead, spreading breath into those back low ribs, telescoping the ribs up. Exhale, fold, using those low belly muscles, just key them in, softening through the neck. Inhale, step the left foot back, lunge, set knee down, top of left foot down. As you're drawing the arms up, we'll just be attuned. This is often where we kind of compress or do that arching move in the low back. So let's continue to feel that breath, able to move into the low ribs, which is, again, the back of the diaphragm, powerful place. I find that the pressure in my front foot helps me feel the breath in the back of the solar plexus. Even though I'm lunging forward, whatever pressure I'm initiating through this front foot, a little tailbone shift, will help me feel that I'm not voiding this area of breath, the back of the solar plexus. Now, easy twisting lunge will bring the left hand down. We can keep that right arm raised. Still breathing into those back ribs, exhaling, spreading the hand bones, lifting up through that right arm. As we twist, by trying to arch and compress the low and mid back, or just like bridge, can I breathe into the low ribs and into the sternum and the chest and the upper ribs? There's a quality of stability. I have to kind of stabilize my inhabiting this lower area of the torso as I'm reaching further and elsewhere within the torso. So stabilizing isn't just a muscle thing. It can also mean to kind of stabilize our feeling awareness within a particular area. Inhale, we'll bring that right hand down. Exhaling the right foot back. Pause and plank. We're going to reapply all those principles. So in plank, backs of the legs engage. So the backs of the knees lift to the sky. And now inhale into the back of the ribs here. And exhaling as you lower, draw the shoulders away from the head. So that's that very similar breath, inhaling into the abdomen, which is breathing under those low ribs. You pull the chest forward, and using those arms, pulling, broad through the shoulders. Exhale, lower down, downward dog. Wrapping the shoulders is working and those armpit muscles and those chest muscles. But check in your body. Do I feel armpit muscles working? Do I feel chest muscles engaging? Do I feel them one side more than the other? Can I maintain their onness, their degree of activation through the next deep breath? Feeling of the breath reaches under those activated chest and armpit muscles. Lunge. Inhale, left foot forward. And exhaling, a little shift in the tailbone down. If you need a hand to check, to feel, or just to kind of mark, touch the low ribs. Use what you need to use. In music, we're like, count if you need to count. Count the beat until you feel the rhythm. Right? Touch to sense until you can go there and feel that area. So that we can breathe into the back of the solar plexus, we can sense it. Easy twisting lunge. We got the right hand down, the left arm up. And you can use that same quality of effort and there's a kind of a stick-to-itive focusing into the low back with the breath we did in those abdominals. You can use that effort of abdominals to remain in those low ribs as we keep turning the chest. So one does not preclude the other. Remain in those low ribs, breathe in those low ribs, and keep working that chest open. Keep reaching a little further with that left arm. Yep, yep, yep. There we go. Now I bet we're getting pretty good. We'll stretch through those front ribs. Bring the hand down, exhaling. Step the left foot back. We'll pause and plank. As I push the ground, the shoulders are wrapping. I need those toe pads. I need those forefoot to push into the ground. To feel breath in the back of the solar plexus. So you're getting complete, utter support by the breath and those abdominals and that low back. Exhaling, lower down. Let's bring the hands out to the sides for shoulder, some shrugs here in boat. Shifting the tailbone down. Inhale, raise the hands, elbows, chest. And then exhaling, squeeze the tops of the shoulders, let up. Squeeze the middle parts of the shoulder blades, let up. Squeeze the bottom tips of the shoulder blades, let up. Let's do another. Inhale. Exhaling, squeeze top, let up. Middle parts, let up. Bottom tips, let up. I'm going to do a third, a final third. And on exhale, get your 3 squeezes in. And release. Inhaling into the squeezes, into the low ribs. Exhaling, downward dog. Inhale the right foot forward. We're going to grab our block or blocks. Or revolve, or how do we say, twisting triangle. So the block is for the left hand. And if you need a higher up grip, we always have the option of bringing the hand to our shin. We also have the option of posting the hand up on object higher, maybe a couch, chair, wall. Now inhaling, breathing into those low ribs, reaching that right sit bone back. Exhaling, we'll take the right arm up. So our chest is turning, twisting to the right, our right. So, using that right amount. There's both effort. There's some effort necessary by way of those torso muscles and those abdominals to breathe into that backside. Necessary. But within that, there's also a quality of ease. Register the ease just as you can register the quality of effort. Register the quality of ease. Just as present, just as available as all those muscular qualities we exert to reach, to hold, to stabilize. And bending the right knee, inhale, we'll set the hands down. And when we exhale, we're going to press back into Turbo Dog. Keep the middle finger facing forward so we have a best chance of feeling the inner hand continuing to make contact with the ground. The chest and the armpit muscles engage. Now, without straightening the elbows, use those legs, lengthen through the spine and the torso. Pull, draw the pelvis back. Lengthening low back away from mid-back. Inhale, step left foot forward. And here's that twisting triangle on this side. The block is for the right hand. Inhaling into the low ribs. So the abdomen isn't completely flaccid. And exhaling, raise the left arm up. But even in light of there being work and stabilizing and maintaining a self-sense in the low ribs, there can still register that quality of ease. A quality of ease. Maybe you feel that and how each breath deepens in and with this effort. There you go. And pull that left sit bone back. There you go. Not just the thigh bone, but the pelvic bone, the sit bone. If you've got a nice grip like a block under your right hand, you can exert that teeny bit of pulling action. So as the legs pull the pelvis behind you, the hand can exert that cobra-like pulling, that elongative suggestion pulling you forward. And we'll bend knee, inhale, set hands down. Exhaling, Turbo Dog. Did a few things to squeeze to feel the upper back muscles. Can breath reach those upper back muscles, the space between the shoulder blades? bend knees, and when we set them down, now we'll inhale the right foot forward, and we're going to set up twisting scissors. So here's some ideas. I think your hands, arms, forearms are ready to receive weight. If they're not, you can do this as a twisting lunge like so, and leave it at twisting lunge. Otherwise, we'll get into the twist, left elbow over right thigh. We'll receive the weight in our arms by setting the hip to the tricep. A little tip. And reaching through strong legs, while simultaneously using those hands, pulling the ground, lengthen through the trunk. Lengthen through the trunk as you're in that twisting scissors. That'd be fun. So we've got our left elbow over our right thigh. Yep. We'll just do the one side for right now. There you go. That's it. Good. Exert that teeny tiny little pull where the chest starts to grow away from the pelvis, the leg. There you go. There you go. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's a different thing. Well, that's a different scissor situation. I saw that. We'll press back into downward dog. All right. So we'll prep the other side. So we can set the left foot forward, and you have the option of choose your own adventure, twisting scissors, or if you don't want to do the hand balancing component, do twisting lunge. However we go about it, we start by crossing the right elbow over the left thigh. Sometimes it's a little, some people like to start their twisting in a little more of a crouch. I want to see you. We'll give it just another breath moment or two. Yeah, there's no rush to go in or go out of. Nice, nice. Good. And even right there, start to pull the chest forward. There you go. And then easing out of that twist or that hand balancing, downward dog. All right, extended warrior. Inhale the right foot forward. And we're setting the right hand to the inside of the right foot. Use a block if you need. Oh, let's ensure left foot is turned inwardly adequately, so that when we raise that left arm overhead, we can engage those butt muscles. If my left foot is kind of spun out, I won't quite have the same access to those butt muscles. So I pitch that foot inwardly, and the butt muscles shift the tailbone toward the left heel. And under those conditions of work, effort. And I keep that leg brightly engaged, deepening breath. Breath that reaches the back of the ribs. Breath that reaches the left side of the ribs. Wrapping that left shoulder. So I'm spreading all of that lat, that back muscle. Exhaling, reach through the left heel, reach through the left hand. And we can sustain that reach. There seems to be a lot of great chemistry that benefits our well-being by sustaining these stretches and breathing and breathing and breathing, mixing that breath with the sensations. So just letting each breath kind of mix and move with those sensations, those feelings. And now inhale, bring that left hand down to the ground. We're going to shift the right foot into that Mancoon stretch. So do you need to set the left knee down? Sometimes I like to set this up by setting myself down first. The right knee tips to the right. This makes my chest hover over my instep. And now, start the walk back. Okay, so you put those hands or even those forearms down how you love it. Want everything to feel super stable in the right knee. So maybe you need to keep the foot a little more flat, a little more active. And then one option is drawing that back knee off the ground, reaching that heel away from the head. I usually don't explicate this, but sometimes when I want to support my knee, I actually support my thigh. So in a position like this, I might even tuck my arm under my thigh and still do all of the setup, but just have a little more arm support underneath my right leg, which lets me kind of play with my legs and get them into a good spot. So I don't know if that reads visually, but you can actually tuck that right arm under. It does mean that you're putting more weight into the arm and wrist, which is fine. But it also takes some of the weight off that hip socket, so it might actually feel better on the hip as well as the knee. Now here, as we're breathing into those low ribs, we're breathing into the deepest facets of our hip muscles, our back muscles. And we'll set the knee down to smoothly exit. Chaturanga, or stepping the right foot back, lowering down. Cobra. Inhale, using the arms. Pull. You can feel the mid-spine moving away from the low spot. Exhaling, lower, downward dog. And so we're going to focus just these 2-3 more breaths in downward dog into that mid-rib rib space. So go to the place where the armpits and the shoulder blades are. Kind of the sides, kind of underneath the shoulder blades. And as you're stably holding those shoulders wrapped, it's armpit muscles active. Breathe in and under those rib bones and rib muscles. Do they move? Do they expand? Inhaling the left foot forward. I know we did that Mancoon stretch. Did we? I'm going to look to you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Extended warrior. Of course. Of course. Extended warrior. All right, so we definitely want to pitch that right foot in, which allows us to work with a little mix of effort. The effort's, of course, such a good cellular flush. So the effort is really great cellular and circulatory part of our practice. And then there's this degree of ease. There's that way in which we can keep expanding and keep reaching and finding a little bit more space, finding a little bit more, a little ripple of change through that right side. If it feels a little angular in the upper back, just try wrapping the shoulder and relaxing the head and the neck. Sometimes that right shoulder blade kind of lifts up and gets jammed up under the skull. So we wrap that. To create a distinct feeling of there's freedom underneath the neck at the top of the shoulder. Oh, interesting here too. That front foot, that left foot, as it pushes, will help you breathe into that low rib area. So ensure that left foot presses, pushes. There you go. Breathe into the right low ribs. So if you're just kind of sagging forward into that left hip socket, it gets kind of a little murky. All right, inhale. Let's bring that right hand down and let's bring the right knee down initially. Mancoon stretch, you know the way in, and I'll just talk through this one teeny little detail, which is if you need more support for the knee, arm tuck under thigh. So now as I lean my left thigh left, my knees got support, my hips got support. Right leg can walk back. Yeah, and if you need a different angle, I can show you a different angle. There you go. Mm-hmm. What I like about that arm nudge underneath is I can physically nudge my thigh bone out. Oops. And then we'll release, inhaling. Step that left foot back. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And exhaling, downward dog. Let's set the knees down. We'll have rest. And so we'll take a brief shavasana. And if you got a good bit of effort and circulation occurring in your body, in your system, just allowing that breath to kind of find its own denouement, its own way of slowing, enlarging, and becoming gentler. With a felt sense of ease in our body as it registers, oh, there's ease here in this body. Feel the freedom breath has to move and touch all of this, the fabric of our being. So if you're ready to move, bend knees, and turn to a side. And press to seated. Namaste.